Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I am your host, Smooth Caramel, and I talk about rap, so that's what I'm gonna do. So today, once again, I am going to attempt to talk about a song in a timely manner of its release, and quite the selection we have today with the song of interest actually appearing on the coveted YouTube trending page. It is right there at number 19 at the time of me actually writing this script. But anyway, of course, the song we're talking about today is by an artist known as Polo G, who I have somehow not previously come across. Kind of seems like quite defeat, because after a quick look on his YouTube videos and Spotify page, this man has a handful of tracks with millions of plays and views, so I might be a bit late. But we're gonna try and do something about that here today. Try not to be completely just lost in my own world when it comes to my music. But anyway, alright, so what is with this trend of insert genre star songs that seem to be coming out over the last few years? I remember Soul Star from Music Soul Child back in like 2003. Now we have Pop Star, that insufferable DJ Khaled and Drake single with that obnoxiously long video in true DJ Khaled fashion, and that randomly subs in Drake for Bieber. There's also that Post Malone Rockstar song from a few years ago, as well as last year's Rockstar song from DaBaby, another one for the Caps Lock Club. And now this. Are these people taking turns or something? Is there gonna be some kind of country star that's gonna come up next? Okay, so after writing that, I did a quick Google search, and lo and behold, country star. From but 1 year ago. No caps lock in this one though. I've listened to very little country at best, so I'm not going to comment on that one. But as for this apparent genre star collective of the modern days, what is there that we can try to observe? Well, evidently the world is pretty rough and turbulent these days, so maybe this is another wave of star power fueled escapism. Actually, nah, that doesn't seem to be it. To begin with, these songs are all pretty gloomy. The most obvious similarity is that dreary downbeat performance and production, with plenty of minor keys to quite notable degrees, making this whole business of riches and fame seem like quite the hard time. I mean, I get it, sign of the times and all. Plus, it is just part of that cycle of deconstruction. These melancholic takes on the subject of a music star that's been covered many times over the decades, reveling in the envy and grandeur of it all. The contemporary vibe has taken similar tropes and points and kind of flipped it a little, conveying the monotony, soullessness, stress and anxiety that is associated with the life. Got these megastar artists looking dissatisfied, bored and uninterested in the extravagance of it all. Now, I can empathize with the theoretical reality, with particular issues and struggles that may be associated with that life, but with that said, the broke motherfucker in me just weeps. But commercial success doesn't preclude from emotional issues, so it's fair game really. So let's jump in and see what we can make of this most recent entry that this entire video was supposed to be about, Rapstar.
Shout out my nigga Cinco.
First off, we get that basic melody to the tune with a nice little riff on that ukulele. Nothing mind-bending, but as I mentioned before, it's in that minor key and fits in with that downbeat tone. Simple, somewhat low-paced, so that more downcast mood is pretty well established. And the way it kind of peters off really brings to mind a sense of longing. So, pretty efficient in its use and introduction.
Caught the BMW, new deposit, I picked up another bag, like fuck it, I'ma count while I'm in it.
So a man's copped a new car, very much within expectations. He's also picked up a bag. Again, very much on brand. Not really sure what he means by new deposit. Whether he's dropped a new one on the car is a low-key reference to how easily he can spend money on things of such value that actually would require a deposit. Or maybe he's picked up another deposit for a show or some kind of appearance. A low-key reference to how in demand he is. or people dropping deposits on bags now. My knowledge of illegal drug transactions is pretty limited. I swear mom, it actually is. Anyway, it's followed with the fuck it line, which easily captures that feeling of disinterest at this enviable level of financial liquidity, which is further supported by that low energy delivery and almost staggered flow, with those mumbled multi-syllable rhymes almost spilling over onto the offbeat. A fairly interesting use of flow there.
I hear planes flying, crowds screaming, money counting chains, clanking shit. I guess that's how it sound when you win it. I ain't
Okay, so basically more on that vibe of being completely indifferent to this extravagant lifestyle, making reference to traveling, adoring fans and jewelry, all within this painfully mundane banner of winning. Alright, it's painful and unfulfilling. I can feel your pain, man. It does make me wonder what's actually beneath it.
I ain't joking, do it sound like I'm kidding. I've been making like 2,000 a minute.
Alright, man, I think I get it. Like, you have made your point. I see the BMWs and shit. I understand that you are in fact rich. Richer than me. Did you want to get into what's behind it all? You know, hit us with that tragic reality, perhaps. The drums come in here and he loses some of that pain in his voice, as well as his delivery. So, are we still looking at the emptiness of it all?
So high up through the clouds, I was swimming. I'm probably gonna drown when I'm in it.
Okay, I think I'm beginning to see where this is going. I mean, the reference to drowning could be making reference to how overwhelming it all is, so I guess that's something. But it does suffer from that excessive sad bragging that precedes it. It's hard to feel that sincerity that might draw and maintain that sympathy from us as the listener.
I bet she gon' get loud when I'm in it, and we might have a child.
Okay, correction. The sad bragging that precedes and follows. Oh, and we now have the mainstream rap trinity covered, with flexes relating to money, drugs, and sex. I guess it is called the Rapstar. Not sure on the whole make a child thing though. Not really relevant to the whole sex brag, except to maybe let us know for sure that he will indeed be climaxed. Unless it's some kind of straight up fertility brag.
My sperm is fine!
Odd flex. Wait, hold up. Is that whole thing a chorus? It's straight up as long as the verse, and it has nothing to really make it stand out or bring it together as a chorus, except maybe that extended flow and rhyme scheme? The transition from chorus to verse then is scarcely noticeable, except his delivery shifts a little bit further towards sing on the sing rap spectrum.
Might have a child. I don't love a hoe after we fuck, she can't get near me. Only bitch I give a conversation to a Siri.
Ah, another charmer on our hands today. So, emotionless sex, exclusively for Polo G. Especially strange, particularly right after that acknowledgement of potentially having a child, especially when framing it as a brag. If she's not allowed to be anywhere near him after they finish having sex, he wouldn't even find out if she did end up pregnant, unless it was relayed through Siri or something. Anyway, more of this disinterested vibe, though somewhat going out of his way to flex it. Maybe this mention of only speaking to Siri is actually an admission of loneliness and isolation. It's possible, I guess, but let's keep going.
My parents are married, yes, I'm winning clearly. I'm the chosen one, see my potential, so they fear me.
Okay, no, back to straight up bragging. Of course, leaving no room for us to misunderstand that he is not only talented, but in fact winning.
Lately I've been praying, God, I wonder, can you hear me? Thinking about the old me, I swear I miss you dearly.
Wait, he's broad and humble now? Or maybe the old him wasn't, he misses that. After this, there is some relatively sustained focus on his emotional struggles. The key word here being relatively, but it is something.
Every day a battle, I'm exhausted and I'm weary. Make sure I smile in public when alone, my eyes teary.
The first reference to some kind of duality in the way that he lives. Feeling that struggle while maintaining the optics fitting to his role of a celebrity and an entertainer. I can sympathize with that at least. Wearing a mask for the sake of appearances or maybe for the benefit of others is undoubtedly quite the mentally draining task. And in the following lines, he does make reference to his use of drugs to help him cope with everything, which is a pretty common place to turn, whether it be through prescription drugs or self-medicating a bit more recklessly. I'll give some props for that representation there. That is pretty real. But with that, we are pretty much just back to this bloated chorus, which mainly consists of sad bragging. So yeah, the second verse.
They say I'm Park Rebirth, never put out a weak verse. They say I'm Park Rebirth.
Okay. For the most part, this verse is a bit better. It actually goes into a little more detail about some of the difficulties in things like anxiety, trying to open up about difficulties and feelings, a lack of purpose, emotional scars, just to summarize. It also has a distinctively different flow, which is something after such an extended run of the same thing. But with that said, I'm not sure if this flow is necessarily better. It just stands out because it's different. But it's different in a way that's a lot simpler and offers less complexity to the subject matter that it carries. But overall, I would say that this song is painfully average at best. For one thing, it does lay into this bragging far too much. You could say that it's supposed to juxtapose the sadder reality, but amount matters if that is the intention. It's hard to feel sincerity in these descriptions of struggles when surrounded by mentions of how rich and successful he is, and how much more successful and rich he is than me. It comes across as saying, all of this doesn't make me happy, but look how much it is. It's so much more than you. Kendrick put it pretty well.
Bitch, be humble.
I mean, within that chorus, he basically says, oh, you didn't believe me? I'm actually this rich. And it's, let's say, far from endearing. In a lot of these songs that's selling some kind of power fantasy, it does so through sharing that with the listener through the way that they deliver the lyric. But that is not the case here. It is very much, look at me and how much I have. And it almost comes across with a sense of disdain for his fans. And if not that, then a certain level of cold disinterest. The chorus is a bit defunct as a chorus, too long and meandering to incite singing along, and too non-distinct to be particularly memorable as its own component. Kind of ends up feeling like it's just there to make up space in an already short song, especially given that it appears 3 times between 2 verses. It is the majority of the song. The second verse is where it kind of starts to redeem itself, in my opinion, minus that first line. But the framework around it just doesn't form much of a structure overall. Obviously, this is all just my opinion, so if you get something out of this song, then that's all good. I'm happy for you. I can't say that I enjoy this song. It's not especially problematic or anything. I do welcome the subject matter touched on between the flexes and wish the man well for his mental struggles as he may experience them. But for a song that wants to talk about subjects like anxiety and depression, I'd say that it's nothing special. Again, I know this is very subjective, but that's just what I get. The descriptions and references are largely quite surface level, so I personally find it hard to relate without much in the details that he could go into. Plus, the production, while efficient, is a little basic. Doesn't do much to elevate the subject matter at all. For contrast, a song that I truly love, of a similar tone and subject matter, is Everything Is Falling Down by Fonte. He does happen to be one of my favorite rappers of all time. It's a lot more raw and personal. The flexes are more in a sense of defiance against people's perception. The chorus is short, sweet, and it does effectively convey the emotions at play. And yeah, the production is a little bit more intricate. Plus, Fonte's lyrics are always something to appreciate. One of my favorite lines of his is actually in this song.
I made a new lane for myself and said, fuck it. Why rage against the machine when you can just unplug it? For real, push it.
It just leaves me kind of speechless and just feeling satisfied after I hear it. And then I can immediately feel immersed in the relatability and the sensations of the song. But with that, I think I've said more than enough, so a man will bid you adieu. This, of course, has been another Smooth Caramel review. Did my man actually say the rebirth of Tupac? Now that's gotta be some hip hop blasphemy if I've ever heard it.